How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Stand Focused for Jesus. Hope each and every one of you are having a blessed day in the Lord Jesus Christ. As always, let me take a sip on this homemade hot cacao. You can make your own hot cocoa. This one consists of nut milk, homemade nut milk that we make instead of continuing to buy at the store. And then the ones at the store, they be having all the other stuff in it. We just make it at the house more easier, and then we know what's in it. And then think we have some, I want to say honey, a little bit of salt, some cinnamon, maybe some sugar. I didn't make this batch, my wife did. And the main star of the show is the cacao. Cacao? Yeah. This can replace your coffee because it is good in regards to energy and stuff like that. And it's not going to give you that crash that caffeine does. The reason why, I believe, because the way they do caffeine, a lot of times what people buying, they're buying something that's highly processed. Then they add all the sugar to it, highly processed sugar. Then you got your cream and stuff like that. A lot of it's highly processed, so your body cannot take it. But you're on this high, and then you're drinking 2 and 3 cups of coffee a day when you're really just supposed to have one. And the timing of that is most likely supposed to be in the morning, because even though you have drank the coffee, the effects of it last for hours and hours. I think when I was looking at the studies and stuff, the cutoff for coffee during the afternoon/night is like 1 or 2 o'clock for most people. When you're drinking coffee real late, you wonder why you can't get right at night times, because the caffeine is still having an effect on your body. Even if it's not that high that people get from caffeine at the particular point in time, it's still stimulating the brain, still stimulating the nerves and stuff like that. And really, what ends up happening is you get overstimulation. This works just as good. My wife knows because she was drinking it at night, because I was drinking it toward night. I can do that because I'm up at night a lot of times into the morning and stuff. And she was like, "Man, I'm up. The children is up," because they were drinking it during that night phase, and she stopped doing that, and now they're back on their regular schedule. So, get you some of this. This is the real deal. Cacao, if I said it right. Now, I mean, they also have, you got cacao, you got carob. There's another one, but those are the 2 main ones. Carob, I don't think is as strong as the cacao, but you want to make sure you get the powder, get the good stuff, not the processed stuff. Not highly processed, but just broken down. So let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm probably going to record 2 videos today. I got this one, then I got my notes for one right here. So I will most likely be recording that one next. You see me with the same clothes on. That is why. And if I do have the same clothes on, what does it matter? Because eventually I'm going to change anyway. Anywho, I've come to the realization, and this is one of those videos off the top of the dome, as we say, or off the top of the spirit. I woke up not too long ago and did what I need to do and stuff like that. Got on my phone, got on YouTube specifically, because I can't get on Facebook online because I'm not on Facebook anymore. Watched a few shorts, and one of the shorts I watched it because of the title. It was something on the lines of, when I'll explain it to you. But what I realized is social media is one of the greatest tests of our lifetime. Social media is a blessing or is a curse. For most people, social media is a curse. We see this because the word of God tells us, you will know a tree by its fruit. And we see the fruit of the people, most people. For a small percentage of us, because God said, many are called but few are chosen, that's with everything. For a small percentage of us, social media has been a great blessing. Anything that is used in righteousness is a great blessing. Having the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, was a great blessing, but people don't see it that way. Why? Because it was the evidence that God made us in his image. I don't think I ever said this. I'm speaking this as the Spirit is leading me. I'm thinking about it as the Spirit is revealing it to me. The knowledge of the tree of good and evil was the evidence that God made us in his image. You may say, well, how? Well, think about it. The word tells us, let us make man in our image. When he says us, when they say us, he's referring to the Godhead. The Godhead is what the Bible correctly coins it or terms them, not the Trinity. I know some people have a problem with the Trinity, or it's Catholic, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The Godhead is the correct biblical term. Let us make man in our image. With us being made in the image of God, there came choices, which is what Adam was faced with. You name the animals. You name your wife. You decide if you're going to eat from the knowledge of the tree of good and evil. And we know how that story went. People get on Adam and get on Eve and you go back and forth. They were both at fault. But one of the main reasons why God was gracious to Adam, and I want y'all to really understand this, women. I want y'all to really, really understand it, because we're living in a time period where, as the Bible says, I think in the book of Isaiah, especially when it comes to black women or Hebrew Israelite women, they are extremely, extremely prideful. And if you dare tell most black women they are wrong, I ain't got to finish the rest of the sentence. Black women expect you, especially black men, to bow down to them, taking on this whole I am not a goddess, but I am your God mentality. And you see it, why? Because you will know a tree by its fruit. Now, you may be offended by that, but if you believe the Bible, then you believe the Bible. If you don't, then you don't believe the Bible. We'll just see how it plays out for you. Let me know how that plays out for you, because regardless if a person believes the Bible or not, I'm going to be a little petty here. I'm married. I've been married for 9+ years. And last time I checked, no matter what a person believes, nobody wants to be alone. Nobody wants to die alone. That's probably the greatest fear of 99.9% of the people of the world. They don't want to die alone. Now, a person can, I can be alone, whatever, this and that. Yeah, you can be alone, but nobody wants to die alone. Nobody wants to be alone. And most people are alone because they don't have anybody in their life. They don't have any type of stability in regards to relationships. And then when they do, those people die off. And they don't have the Most High, the Spirit dwelling in him. You see, if God took my whole family, I'm still not alone. Because I know that God is with me. God was with me before I got my family. But it's just an extra blessing that I happen to be married. And I've been married for how long? I've been married with 4 children. So if you really want to go there, then it's not going to work out for you. So let's humble ourselves together, because I want you to have that companionship. I want you to be married, or if marriage isn't for you, marriage ain't for everybody, I still want you to have joy and not have the feeling of loneliness within your spirit and within your heart. God gave Adam the choice to eat from the tree, gave both of them the choice. Eve was the one who was deceived. Women, Adam wasn't deceived. Adam was simply disobedient. But did you ever ask yourself, why did Adam eat the fruit when he knew the consequences of it? He wasn't deceived. Instead of just going to God. I'll tell you why, if you haven't figured it out yet. Why was God so gracious? Even though he put the different curses upon man and women and the serpent, of course. Man will till the ground, sweat from your brow, and the work you put in. Basically saying the work you put in, you won't receive the reward for the work you put in. Think about that today. The curse still goes on. We work, but we don't get paid for the amount of work that we put in. Imagine that. Women, the curse that was upon a woman primarily is the pain of childbirth. And what does man do and women do? Oh, we're going to find a way to get around that, circumvent that with epidurals and stuff like that. Pain is pain. The pain that a woman goes through in childbirth serves as a reminder that it's God who saves. A woman is supposed to go through that pain as a reminder that it is God who saves. Why? Because he tells you that a woman is supposed to die in childbirth. What have women done? Oh, you know what I'm saying? Women endure this pain through childbirth. We are the goddesses, and we are your God. Like, yes, you do endure the pain of childbirth. Trust me, I know. I've seen my woman, my wife, endure 4 times with no epidural, with no so-called, you know what I'm saying, doctor. We had people there that was certified in their fields, but I seen the pain that my wife went through. I know the possibility of something happening, which is the greatest thing that could happen, is that she could have died in childbirth, and I would have had to live with that. But we were willing to deal with that because she can die in the hospital or she can die at the house. You might want to look at the stats when it comes to black women specifically in hospitals in comparison, well, say pregnant black women in hospitals in the care of white doctors, white physicians in comparison to their counterparts. Nothing I'm making up. You go look it up for yourself. But a woman is supposed to die in childbirth simply because of the pain is unbearable. My wife went through it 4 times, like I said, and every time she, oh Lord, take me, especially that first time, Lord, she felt like she wanted to die. And a lot of you like, yeah, the pain is so bad, I want to die. But God sees you through it if he sees fit. At times, people, women, they do die in childbirth. I have my uncle who's the uncle I'm closest to. His wife died in childbirth. So it's not a situation where like, oh, you don't know. Well, how close you want me to get? The closest I can get is my wife dying in childbirth. Is that how close you want me to get? But women have taken it and they have flipped it, basically saying, I don't need God. And that's the mindset, that's the mentality of a lot of women today, especially Hebrew Israelite women, regardless of that factor. We know what the word says, that in the last days, that everybody, unless they're saved, is going to be haughty, overly selfish, because I like to clarify this stuff. There's nothing wrong with being selfish when it's in righteousness. You may say, how can you be selfish and righteous at the same time? That doesn't make any sense. Well, I would make the argument that you lack wisdom. So let me give you some wisdom that can help you out. Do you want my wife or do you want your wife? Do you want my wife or you want your own wife? Do you want my 4 children or do you want your 4 children? Or how many children you have? 5, 1, or whatever. So you want your own. Do you want my car or do you want your car? You want everything I got or do you want what God has for you? I don't know about you, but I want my wife. I don't want your wife. Because then that would be a sin, right? Well, you're saying, well, you're talking about selfishness. Well, I'm selfish. Meaning I want mine. I want what's mine. I don't want what's yours. I want my wife. I don't want you to touch my wife. I don't want to share a you-know-what with the 2 of us. I don't want to do that. So I'm selfish in that regard to want my own. God bless me with my own wife. He blessed me with my own children. He blessed me with my own vehicles. He blessed me with my own journey. He blessed me with my own salvation. I don't want your salvation. I want my salvation. And guess what? I protect what God has given me because I'm selfish in that regard. I'm selfish because what I'm selfish about is sacred to me. And what's sacred to me, I'm selfish about, and therefore I protect. I protect my wife. I protect my family. I protect the possessions, the things that God has made me a steward over, whether it's a bicycle or old raggedy ass truck or a nice vehicle. Rather it's a house that's a little bit over 1,000 square feet, or it's a 2,000, 3,000 or more big old house. Rather it's some slides I got from Walmart, I got on my feet, or some quality shoes or boots. Was like, man, where you get them from? Them nice. Them nice. You paid some money for that, didn't you? No, I ain't paid too much for them. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna be selfish in that regard and take care of what God has given me. Because I want what's mine. I don't want what's yours. And therefore I'm gonna protect what has been given to me, because that's what you're supposed to do. So that's what I mean by that. Excuse me. God gave us choices, and God was gracious to Adam and Eve because Adam loved his wife so much that he did that. It's a story of love, if you haven't realized it. Adam didn't have to eat the fruit. He knew the consequences of it. He ate the fruit because he loved his wife so much. He could have went to God and told God, and guess what? Eve would have probably been replaced. Because I don't know what God would have did, because it's like, okay, Adam didn't sin. Eve did sin. We know hindsight is 20/20. We say the only way to undo sin is through the gospel of Christ. So that would mean that Christ would have only been sent to women, because the curse wouldn't have been in man, but then you would have had two branches, because you had one group over here that didn't sin, and eventually a man would have sinned. Let's just be real. A man would have sinned, so now you got this group of people over here, and you got these group of people that never sinned, so the story would have been written differently. Think about that. Eventually a man would have sinned. The temptation of sin, it was like, man, them women is something else. A man loves a woman. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to live in a world with no women. I don't want to live in a world with no women. I would say, I would make the argument that the woman is probably the most beautiful creature that God has. I'm gonna make an argument. I'm speaking as a man. That the woman is probably the most beautiful creature that God has ever made. Think about it. Everybody goes crazy over a woman before he is even intimate with a woman. A man will go crazy over a woman and do everything to get that woman before he has even had a taste of that woman. A man will, in you know, of course, it's a play on words. A man will move heaven and earth to get the woman that he wants, or be with the woman that he wants. I want you to think about this. Think about all the movies you've seen. Most of the movies you've seen has something dealing with a woman. Rather it is the destruction of the world, rather it is, you know, whatever situation. But I watch a lot of apocalyptic movies. I am an apocalyptic buff. I find apocalyptic movies and shows, and you wouldn't even think it's an apocalyptic movie or a show. And every single time, it's always something dealing with the woman. So much to the fact that when I used to tell my wife that, I said, she was like, no, it ain't with the woman. I said, I'm telling you, it's something with the woman. And then she'll watch, she was like, dang, how you know? Cause I know. I'm a man, I know. And then she watch it, and then she like, what? Oh, it must be her right there. I'm like, yes, her. And she watch it, she's like, yep, it's something always dealing with the woman. Something always dealing with the woman in regard to the man. Excuse me. You're probably thinking about like, yeah, sure is. It sure is. And let's just take it to something that you can apply, because maybe you don't watch movies like that. Think about the apocalypse in regards to the Bible. Ain't it something dealing with a woman? Adam was not deceived. Adam ate the fruit because his wife ate the fruit, which leads to Christ doing what he needed to do, which leads to the apocalypse, the revealing of Christ, the destruction of the world. Christ is the husband, the protector, right? And then the church is symbolic of the woman. There you have it. Christ gave his life for the church. The church is symbolic of the woman because the church is the weaker vessel. It's not the church's job overall to give their life. It's not it's not my wife's job to lay down her life. She will if she have to. But whose job is it to lay down their life if somebody breaks into the house? It's my job to go in there and see what's going on and boom, boom, boom. And then, of course, my wife, that protection mode is going to kick in. Or I need to help my husband, or I need to protect the children, get the children out of here, or she going to go grab a knife and she going to go berserk on the person, and she's willing to give her life also. That's what I mean by that. But what are we talking about? We're talking about choice. God made us in his image, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil is the ultimate evidence that he did make us in his image, because it gives us choice. The fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, people are still eating today. We are still eating, or have the option, because all of us is basically eating it at this point. It's still active, it's still alive this very day, this very moment. Think about when you go on social media. There's that knowledge there of good and evil. Okay, you know, you're scrolling through, oh, she got her titties out, or she's showing her booty, or this and that, or there's a temptation to buy something, you know you don't really need to buy it. You don't need to overspend, or whatever it is. That knowledge of good and evil. You can do good or you can do evil every single day. There's the choice of eating from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, because you have eaten, you can't undo what has been done. When they ate, ultimately we all ate because we are passed through their seed. Adam and so on and so on. Adam had his son Seth, and Cain and Abel, and so on 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 and so on, right? So that enlightenment passes on to each and every one of us because of what happened way back then. Which leads us to today, specifically speaking about social media. And social media is one of the greatest tests we will face, and we have faced in our lifetime, because of the amount of temptation that exists in regards to social media and just media in general. Just media in general. I'm watching this short on YouTube, and it's this black guy, and the theme of the skit is his son invites his white friend over, but the father doesn't know that the white friend is in the room. So the father opens the door up, and he walks in. He said, "Hey, I forgot the boy's name, but he said, 'Hey, son,' and he's like, 'What are you doing here?' And the tone is, 'Your son invited me. Like, don't talk to me like that.'" Of course, it's a skit, it's a joke, but it was the comment section that I read. I'm like, it's a sad world that we live in. I actually got sad when I read the comments. So he goes back out the room, closes the door, and then you could hear him speaking to his son, like, "Hey, why you didn't tell me that?" I think the boy's name, the white boy, was Jacob. Name was Jacob. "Why you didn't tell me that Jacob was over here?" "Oh, I didn't think it mattered." Blase, blase. You know, you need to, tell me that people are over here, which you do. You know, you don't know what a parent has going on. You don't know what situation. You just need to tell your parent. We all know that. We all understand that, right? So the skit was actually truthful, especially in the black folks' household. We don't play that. We don't play that. We didn't play that. You got who in my house? You ain't tell me. No, we didn't play that, and we still don't to the day. Hopefully, I know I don't play that. And my children aren't of age to even have nobody over like that. But he's talking to his son, and then he goes back. Nah, so then the white boy is you can hear him speaking to himself. He's talking about fruit or something like that. And then the father asks the son, like, who is he talking to? So the door's still closed. Who's he talking to? Like, I don't know who he's talking to. So the father opened the door again. He's like, hey, who are you talking to? I'm talking to these two pieces of fruit. And so the father's like, oh nah, you got to go. You over here talking to two pieces of fruit. And then the white boy, he asks him, what is your favorite fruit? What's your favorite fruit? So you're talking that, that creepy voice. What's your favorite fruit? And he's like, I ain't trying to have that conversation with you. You got to go. Blase. I like all type of fruit. And then the white kid responds in the skit, you know your favorite fruit is watermelon. So they're like, what? So he's looking at her like, I know he ain't talking to me. So then he goes over to him. You can hear like a heartbeat, and then he goes over to him. Then like flatline. So you get the point. Now all you can see in the video is a door and the wall, the framing and everything like that, and part of the room. You can't see the white kid. You can't see the black kid. You just see the door and the father speaking to the son when the door is closed, the black boy, and then the white boy. That's all you can see. The door frame is rough. It needs some paint. The paint is chipped off of it. Look like it needs to be cleaned, stuff like that. Okay, you can see it. You can clearly see it. Oh, they need to paint that door or clean it or whatever. But you go to the comment section. And all the comments are what I hate. I hate passive aggressiveness. When people use that to truly hide their feelings and emotions instead of just being a man or a woman about it and stand on business, as we say. But all the comments were that passive aggressive. Oh, you need to be worried about that door, that raggedy door. You need to be worried about, instead of worry about him, he need to be worried about the roaches in your home and stuff like that. These were the comments that people were making on something that was obviously a skit. But we know. It's not hard for us to discern when somebody's being racist toward us. So instead of, I'm not saying that this is exclusive to white people, but we know this majority happens when it comes to white people because we deal with it on everyday basis. We haven't been paid reparations because white folks don't want to pay reparations simply because they feel like they're not responsible. Oh, that was my ancestors. Well, does the word tell you that? If it was just exclusive to the ancestors of the white people that did it, why does God still give us reparations in the future? Why does God take everything, the riches of the Gentiles, and say he's going to give it to us? If it was just exclusive, it only matters in regards to the ancestors of the white people today. So that tells you that something else is going on. It tells you that the money and the restitution that was supposed to be paid and given back has not been paid and been given back. Collectively, not every single white person, but collectively, white people do not want to see us with knowledge. They do not want to see us with wisdom. They do not want to see us with understanding. They want us to keep on acting like niggas. As long as we keep on acting like niggas, we will never act like royalty. Once we start acting like royalty because we come to repentance and believe in the gospel, the Most High blesses us with more knowledge, more wisdom, more understanding, more responsibility, which a part of that responsibility is being a good steward of wealth. The Word of God tells us in the same context of Deuteronomy that it is He who gives the power to get wealth. We understand that most wealth comes from having knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and how and what to do with that money to grow that money into what we call wealth. Excuse me. I would consider myself and my family pretty wealthy. We don't have a lot of bills. We got some, a few credit cards, stuff like that. I need to pay off and stuff like that. Got one vehicle that needs to be paid off. I think we owe like 5 or 6 months left on it, and I'm going to bring that down and pay that off faster. Overall, we don't have a lot of debt in comparison to most Americans and in comparison to most white Americans, but we basically own our house. We owe a little money on that. I'm gonna be honest. We own multiple pieces of land. We are in a pretty good position in comparison to most Americans, in that regard. And I didn't get here overnight. It took time. It took patience. It took obedience. Y'all know the story. I didn't want to come to Hot Springs, Arkansas. That's where we at. I didn't want to come here. It was not my choice. My choice was what my wife wanted to go. Where my wife wanted to go, which is San Antonio. I had no problem with that. But I went where the Most High sent me. I went where the Most High was leading us. I told her, I said, I pray about it. I prayed about it and came here primarily for my mother-in-law to get her out the situation that she was in. And now she's straight. She's officially retired. So basically, if we go, she going. So that's the main reason we came here. And then by coming here in obedience, again, a lot of you know the story already, some of the stuff that transpired in between that. The Father blessed us with what He has blessed us with. But it hasn't been smooth sailing the whole time. The boat, like almost flipped over. The storm, although we perish sometimes. And yet we persevered because Christ is right there reminding us, oh, ye little faith. Remember, I'm with you. I'm the one that led you here. If I led you here, then I mean I'm taking you through everything that you're going through. The Father knows everything we're going to go through, right? So He's reminding us of that. I brought you here. You didn't want to come here, remember? But you did come in obedience to me. So if I brought you here, then I mean I'm taking you through everything you're going through. Everything that you're going through, everything that y'all going through, I already know because I preordained it and ordained it for you to go through so you can learn what you need to learn for the next round of blessings, the next round of responsibility. So I would consider us pretty wealthy. Minimum debt, maximum assets that we have right now. But I don't want to stop there. I want more responsibility. I want more, I want more wealth, because the more wealth I have, then the more things I can do with it to help people out. It's not a situation where I have all this money, I'm going to, give it all away. Even if I, let's say, hit the lottery or whatever. I said that before, but it would be a certain way that I give it away. It's not just, here go, $2 million. Like, nah, here goes some money to help you out. And then if I'm led to, because you have been responsible and God's put in my heart that you've been responsible with what you've already been given, then I'll give you more. Because if you give somebody a lump sum of money and they aren't already responsible, then they're not going to do the right thing with it. There's a difference between you getting a lump sum of money and you getting a few lumps by learning and stuff like that, in comparison to you getting a lump sum of money, you just blowing it. It's a big difference. So most people, they would blow the money. They would not, get a few bumps and bruises there, learning, just like with anything. You start a new job, there are bumps and bruises. You get into a new relationship, there are bumps and bruises. Whatever it is, there are bumps and bruises that you get along the way. But as time progresses, you get better and better at what you do. I am a million times better today with managing my money and managing our money than I was when I was younger. It was no money management. It was, I'm finna go buy these pair of shoes, I'm finna be fresh, and so on and so on and so on. There was no such thing as money management. Why? Because I didn't have knowledge. I didn't have wisdom. I didn't have understanding. And through the process of life, the experience of life, you live, you learn, you grow. And my money management skills have gotten better to the point as I've grown, God has blessed me with more and more and more and more. He said, okay, you being more responsible as an adult, I'm going to give you more. Here go your chance. Here go opportunity. Show me what you're going to do with it. And that's the only thing that we can pray for. Only thing we can pray for is the opportunity. You know, in that regard, of course, you pray to be ready. You pray for that blessing. But why are you praying for that blessing when you're not ready for that blessing? I knew when I was ready for a wife, which means that I was ready for children. Prior to that moment of me being ready, I wasn't ready. But I knew I was ready because I'm reflecting on it. I'm like, I was focused on myself. I wasn't focused on the relationship. I was focused on God working in me, what He's to work in me. And by doing that, it prepared me for everything. It prepared me for marriage. So when the time period came and that key unlocked in my brain, my spirit, like, oh, I want to be married. You know, I think it's best for me to be married. I was already ready. You stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, as we say. You stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And again, it's the same thing with money. You prepare yourself to stay ready, and now you stay ready. You learn as you learn, you learn a different thing. So therefore, when my phone, okay. So therefore, when the Most High blesses you with a little bit of money or a lot of bit of money, you're already ready. Taxes is coming up. These glasses. Hold on. I'm trying to use yeah, there we go. Taxes coming up real fast. Today is December 23rd. We're 2 days out of what they call Christmas and stuff like that. And before you know it, it's January, and people are already filing their taxes now to get loans and stuff like that. But let's be honest, most people, they're going to blow their money. They're going to blow their tax money. They have no plan for it. And some of us that's getting taxes, some of y'all get taxes. You're getting a significant amount of money. But do you have a plan for that money? Even if it's just, man, I ain't getting them but $500. Maybe you're getting that $500, you have a plan, I'm gonna pay off this bill, I'm gonna pay this credit card down, and that creates cash flow. Because this cash flow is limited because I got this bill, that bill, this bill, that bill. If you got, let's say, $400 in credit card debt or whatever debt in that regard, loans for the month, you can, the more you pay those down and ultimately pay them off, then that is, $400 in cash flow that you got going back in your pocket. So instead of taking that $400 like you would have back in the day, what do? You take that $400, you say, okay, I'm gonna put it over here in my savings, I'm gonna put it here in my investment account. Just from my experience, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a savings account, but you make more money by putting it into an investment account and using that investment account as a savings account. What I learned is you should save, but you should save to invest. This is what God teaches. This is what Christ taught. Christ taught, don't just bury the talent, don't just bury the money. He said you could have gave it to the usury. Usury is what today we call the stock market. You could have put it on the stock market and brought some type of return, but you let it waste away. And what is the equivalent of money being wasted away today? Inflation. You see how everything ties together? So how did I gain this wisdom? I gained it through being obedient. I gained it through experience and stuff like that. And now I apply it to my life, and then I turn around and I give it to y'all and you apply it. I put it in a way where it makes you think like, dang, I didn't think about it like that. by just letting it sit there in the savings account, it is being wasted away because of inflation. The inflation is the burying of the money. When God is giving you wisdom, just put it in your stock portfolio. You can put it in there in the account, and it ain't got to be one where you're buying stock. It could be in a what they call a SPAX account. Because I use Fidelity. But Fidelity has what's called a SPAX account, SPAXX. You can go look it up. And just by having that money sit in there, you still get a debit card to use that. I ain't got my wallet on me, but you still get a debit card. It's a bank account. You get a card for it, and you can use it. So it's not like, oh man, I can't have my money locked up. No, it doesn't work that way. Your money isn't locked up. It's an account that has a daily balance, and whatever your balance is, they pay you interest on that balance. And then you get paid a dividend, I think, after every 30 days. So if you keep a balance of $50, then you still get you still get some type of money back on that money. If you keep your daily balance is 10,000 or 20,000 or whatever, then your dividends they pay you is going to be greater. But you're making some type of money off of your money instead of just having it sit in savings and they ain't paying you really nothing. And then let me go dip in my savings and now it's just disappearing. And you're like, man, I ain't got nothing. You don't put no money up. You don't save nothing. You don't save to invest. If you don't know about investing, you're not comfortable with it, then you can still save. There's levels to it. And then you learn about it and you say, okay, how can I grow this money? Because if you don't grow it, that savings is going to disappear because you're going to keep on picking into it. I need this, I need that, I need this. Why? Because that's the world we live in. That's the world we live in. Everything is so expensive. Everything is high. Unless you just got buku money and you don't have to touch your savings or your investment account. The reality is most of us are going to go in that savings account. Why? Because everything is high. So the value of your dollar ain't really worth a dollar. A penny ain't really worth a penny. A nickel ain't really worth a nickel. A dollar is what? Was it 60 or 70 cents? Or is it 80? I don't know what it is right now, but it ain't worth what it's worth. And so you have to gain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And by doing that, you gain the understanding of how to get wealth. Especially as a black person, if you listen to the video in America, most people would, even though we don't have this and have that, we don't have the big old house, most people, they laid it down and be like, yeah, you're wealthy in comparison to this person that has more than you. Why? Because they have more debt. On the surface, it may look like they are doing better, but they're not really doing better because they have debt and that can be taken from them. Our house can't be taken from us in that regard unless somebody try to, steal it or whatever. But it can't be taken from us because there's no bank to repossess it. There's no foreclosure. If we did get a bigger house, and Lord willing we will, because the children are growing, stuff like that. Excuse me. If we did get a bigger house, then I'm not going into it blindly. If I do sign up for a 30-year mortgage, the goal is not to keep the mortgage for 30 years. The goal is to pay it off in probably half the time or less. I'm doing that now. I'm making moves now. I have money going into a separate investment account that's specifically toward the payments of a new house. Why? Because I don't want the payments to come out of our main money that we have coming in. I want the payments to come out of this money for this many years. So therefore, this pot over here, I don't have to touch, and I can continue to invest it to go ahead and help pay off this house even faster. Some stuff just take patience, y'all. We can go get a house right now. We were basically approved for another house, but I'm like, no, let's just wait. And we did go through the process of doing a cash out refi. We did go through the process of doing cash out refinance. I told y'all that was a option that I had when we first got into real estate. And I had a plan for that. That didn't go too well. Some of you know what happened with that. For those who don't, don't know, how do I explain it? The lender was doing something that was straight up illegal, and it was fraud. We called them out on it, and then they tried to backtrack, and we pursued a lawsuit against them. And once again, the situation was the same. You have a whole bunch of cowards that are afraid to take the case. We were on the phone with some big people. In fact, one of the people that we were in contact with, I can say it now. I know I talked about this, so I can't speak on it right now. One of the people that we were in contact with, they are associates of Benjamin Crump. For those who don't know who Benjamin Crump is, he is one of the top, if not the top, civil rights lawyers, attorneys in the United States. You can type in Benjamin Crump and you'll see who I'm talking about. Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, all these different people he's represented. So I come to the realization that I knew it, but when you really get in these situations, you're like, man, these people aren't who you think they are. They basically didn't want to take the case because it wasn't a case that was easy for them to win. Somebody getting shot by the police or getting injured is basically as easy money. And this is what they do. They take these cases to build their name off of the easy wins. And they didn't want to take the case because it was a case that they would have had to fight a little bit harder for. It wasn't just easy money. It was easy money in regards to what the company did, but it wasn't easy in the sense of somebody got shot. How do we know? Because we were talking to these people. We talked to the associate. He has a different law firm than Benjamin Crump, but he has been on the stage doing business with Benjamin Crump. We talked to him. We talked to the associates, the direct associates that work with Benjamin Crump, like that are part of his law firm, and they said, "Hey, this case fits," but they decided against it basically because of that. It was some other stuff, but that was the main reason. So we reached out to some other attorneys. Some of them was talking crazy, like, "Nah, we ain't finna pay you just to look at the case. Like, you crazy." But this is the world we live in. And then we sat down with another pretty big attorneys. And the crazy thing is, I'm laughing when I think about it, but it's sad. We drove up there to Little Rock. We sat down with these people, and I presented the case. I had a folder for each of them. Like, I was professional with it. I was prepared. And I was staying up 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning working on this like I was an actual attorney. For those who don't know, growing up, I used to want to be a lawyer. So it was partly fun to me. I was fighting because what they were doing was illegal, and it wasn't just exclusive to us. It was something they were doing to other veterans and stuff like that. I like, I'm gonna take a stand because it's the right thing to do. And this is I ain't gonna mention the company because we still working some things in the background. But this is one of the biggest companies out there that we were taking on. This is a David and Goliath type of situation. So I'm working on this thing. I'm building this case and stuff like that. I'm seeing where they went wrong and this and that. I'm telling them, hey, just do right, just do right. And we didn't do anything wrong. Y'all already got in trouble for the same thing in these different states. We got the evidence that they done this, which is called a pattern in law. They call it pattern in practice. And when it comes to a pattern in practice, that's like the nail in the coffin, because you've been doing this and you got fined for it by other states, and you're still doing it across these different states. So that was something that the Most High had gave to me as a weapon. Like, boom, you got them. You got them dead, as we say, dead to rights. We went up here to Little Rock and we sat down with these attorneys. God's my witness. This real sat down with them in the room, with the long table and the seats and stuff. I had my manila folders. Get there, and my wife is introduced and stuff like that. These people, they thought that I was an attorney because I was doing most of the talk. I let her do her talking, and then I did my thing, passed it out to them. They broke it down, said, you look right here, boom, boom, boom. This is a timeline of events, boom, boom, boom. So they asked me questions, boom, boom, boom. Okay, it's right here. Okay, let me get that. If you go to this page right here, boom, boom, boom. And they said, oh, that's your wife? I said, yeah. Oh, we thought you was her attorney. We thought that you were representing her, that you were an attorney. I said, no, I'm not an attorney. I said I used to want to be one growing up, and then the attorney, the main guy, he said, well, it's not too late. It's not too late. I said, nah, I got 4 children. I got a ministry to take care of, stuff like that. But the main lawyer basically was trying to recruit me to be an attorney, and both of them, because there was 3 people in there, but it was 2 main ones, and you had a paralegal he was taking notes and stuff. He even said, like, and I ain't never seen it like this. They said it. I was prepared. So that happened, and they were like, oh, this is great. This is great. We haven't seen anything like this. This laid out. This is intriguing. We brought the company down to them, and like, look, we need to get on this because they're only gonna grow it. Because I looked them up. I looked up the goals of the CEO and stuff like that, and they was talking the big game. I'm like, we want somebody that's not afraid. They was like, I'm not afraid of these people, and we're not afraid of them. We're gonna take them on, and this and that. Just give us some time, stuff like that. We'll get back to you Monday. We go home. I made a video about this. I think it was the day that we had left. This was a while back, and I think I asked for prayers and stuff. They said they were gonna contact us. We're waiting, and being patient. Like, if I ain't said nothing, dang. To make a long story short, as we say, even though the story is already long, but make this part short, they backed out because they was afraid. Oh, we ain't got the resources. I'm like, you didn't say all that when we were sitting right there. I'm like, whatever, man, whatever. We left it alone. Then I still have a card to play. I haven't played it yet because there's some internal beef going on with this company where the 2 people that started it, they're suing each other. And I did a little research, and I'm able to reach out to the guy that is being sued because he found out that the main guy was using funds for his own personal things to buy planes and stuff like that. And the other guy's like, hey, you buying planes for your own personal reasons, but I don't have any access to those planes and use company money to do it. So they're beefing. They're accusing each other of this and accusing each other of that. So my play, I haven't done it yet, is to reach out to not the main guy, because he's the one that signed the documents when they did their legal stuff in these other states. So he knows what's going on. My play is to reach out to the other guy and tell him what's going on, and basically a exchange of information. You give me your lawyers that is able to take this case, and I will give you all the information that you need to show that this guy that you're going against has been doing wrong in regards to your situation, also after the fact. So, and that's where we're at with that. But yeah, God gives us knowledge, wisdom, understanding how to navigate. I can only do what I do. I can't control what's out of my control. I don't want to control what's out of my control. I don't want to be God. Like Satan, I want to be like the Most High. Man, dealing with what I deal with and dealing with life in general is enough to deal with it as it is. You talk about being God. I think, I don't know about y'all, but I think God is pretty good at, let me blow my nose real fast. That weather be changing. I think God is pretty good at what he does. I know that God is pretty good at what he does. I'm going to let God do his thing, and I'm going to do my thing. We all play our part. We all play our part. And at the end of the day, we are faced with choices. We are faced with choices every single day. We are faced with choices when it comes to social media. And to bring it all full circle, social media is one of the greatest tests that we will ever face. Media in general, the internet in general, is one of the biggest tests that we will face in our lifetime. These things that I'm going through, I see them as tests, because God is like, you're not getting the results that you desire, but I'm still going to see what you're going to do. Because God could have easily been like, okay, I'm going to see it through, I'm going to see it through, I'm going to see it through. Even though I'm not getting the results I want, where I'm getting lawyers to take these cases, I've been around our Father long enough to know that something else is at play. I truly believe that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is all powerful, all knowing, all seeing. I truly believe that. So if I truly believe that, I must act accordingly. I can't be like, well, he's not all powerful and all knowing and he can't do this and can't do that, because I don't get my way, because the results aren't the results that I want. Of course, we want the results to be that these people pay. But guess what? If they don't pay now, they'll pay later. What if the test isn't the reward, but the reward is what I get as a result of being obedient regardless? Of course, the ultimate reward in our mind would be like, yeah, you sue them and then you get paid your money. But what if that's not the reward? What if the reward is something later that I cannot see? And God is using different situations to see how I react to them. How do I handle them? Are you just going to give up? Are you going to lack faith even though the results didn't go the way that you wanted them to go? But it doesn't mean that the results it doesn't mean that the result didn't go the way that I want them to go, because I can't see everything. It could be years later, it was like, oh snap. Hey, we read this and we came across this, and this company is now being sued by this other company, and we came across your file and we want you to be the fake. I mean, it could be that, or it could be something else that I don't know about. When we went to those lawyers and attorneys, we sat down in that room, and I was prepared. It was at that moment. It was at that moment. But it was at that moment after the fact where I was 100% at peace, because I know that I had done what I could do with the power that I have to present my case, to get it in front of the people that it needed to be gotten in front of, and for them to make a decision. If it didn't go the way that we wanted to go, which is, of course, the lawsuit and then the money, I was still at peace knowing that I stood on righteousness. I stood for my family. I stood for my wife. I stood for my children. I stood for my mother-in-law. I stood for each and every one of you in righteousness, fighting for those that are taken advantage of. We look at the word in the book of Revelation, and it tells us specifically in regards to the church of Philadelphia, he says, I know that you have a little bit of strength. I know that you don't have a lot of strength. And we know that a lot of times strength comes through resources. If we have more money, then you can go get whatever attorney you want to. You know what I'm saying? Most times because you can pay them. But we don't have that. So we have to use the resources, that we have. And yet Christ says that I can open a door that no man can shut. I can close the door that no man can shut. Ultimately, he's in control of what doors are open and what doors are closed. We don't know what doors have been opened and closed yet, because he hasn't revealed it to us. We don't know what's going to happen in the future with this whole thing, because I got some other stuff working on too, using AI to build a I'll let y'all in on this. I'm using artificial intelligence behind the scenes to build a system. I ain't gonna say a platform, but it's more of a system to hold these corporations accountable. As artificial intelligence grows and it gets access to more data, the capabilities of it will be even greater. And what I've been doing behind the scenes is feeding artificial intelligence information and having it build a system of part of its reparations, but holding these people accountable. I know you may say, man, that's some futuristic type of stuff, and it is. And the Lord put it in my heart. One day, artificial intelligence will be, we know where it's going, terminate type of stuff. But it's a matter of how you use the tool. Social media is a tool. Artificial intelligence is a tool. A lot of people have made social media their God. A lot of people have made artificial intelligence their God, their idol, and stuff like that. But we still have the capability of using these things as our tools. And like I said, I've been having artificial intelligence in the background build a system that when it's capable and it has all this data, it will go forth automatically and bring up a lawsuit or bring up a case against not only this company that I'm talking about, but other companies. Even if it's not our case, because there's a timeline in regards to you being able to bring a lawsuit. I think for certain things, certain statutes they broke is like 2 years, but other ones is like 5 years, and some of them have no limitation. So it just depends on how fast AI grows. And if it's not our case, the system that I'm building in the background using AI, it will go forth automatically when it's able to, and it's going to be able to sue these companies blindsided. In fact, I even have it set up where when it's able to, it's going to send me an email automatically and tell me it's time. Right now, the percentage is at like, the capability is I think like at 15% or 20% capacity. It's been a while since I checked. I don't check it every month because there's no reason to, because I keep up with other artificial intelligence technology and stuff like that. But the capacity of what it's capable of is like 15%. And for what I needed to do, it needs to be at like, I think like 60 or 70% capacity. So that's I've never revealed that to y'all. I never mentioned that because it just wasn't time. But you speak as the Spirit leads you. That's something I'm working on in the background. And even if that doesn't go through like I wanted to, which I believe it will, I'll probably be gone by the time it pops off, or the catching wave may happen. I don't know. Regardless, they will still be held accountable. You gotta remember, you may say, why would you think about something like that? Because I understand how time, I understand how prophecy works. I understand that the seed you plant now, you reap the fruit of it later. And so these are seeds of righteousness I'm planting that will take effect once I'm dead and gone. This is what you talk about in regards to building generational wealth. Generational wealth isn't just what we call assets, land, houses. Generational wealth is more important than spiritual wealth, where you don't know those seeds that you plant way back here in 2025 going in 2026, they'll grow up into trees, and then you're bearing fruit off of it and people eating off of it years later, and you didn't know nothing about it. But I understand it. So these are seeds that I'm planting now, that even when I'm dead and gone, somebody's going to be eating off of it later. Rather it's me, rather it's somebody I don't know, rather it could be somebody that's not even born yet. It could be somebody that's, a teenager, and they get to a point of growing up and now they want to purchase a house, and these people do this against them, and the system is there that, I built and implemented, and then boom, 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 boom. Because I told the artificial intelligence, now I'm building this system, I want you to use our case, and I gave all the documents, everything. I want you to use our case as the foundation. And I want you to tell me why or why not this case is or is not strong enough to be the foundation to build the system I'm talking about. And it looked it over, it did its thing, and it told us why. And of course, I took the information, I said, okay, boom, boom, boom. Because you can tell AI what you want to tell it. You can manipulate AI to tell it what, to get it to tell you what you want to hear, whatever. But I don't use AI like that. I don't use AI like that. Especially when you're talking about building a system like that. So, yeah, that's how you're supposed to use social media. It was sad when I read those comments because people were more focused on the door being chipped and needing to be painted than the actual message because of their inward feelings. And again, and in closing, social media is one of the greatest tests. Artificial intelligence is one of the greatest tests because artificial intelligence is just another level of knowledge being increased. What will you do with it? Will you use it for righteousness or will you use it for unrighteousness? We know that most people that are using artificial intelligence, most of the people that have set the system up of artificial intelligence, they use it unrighteously. If I told you some of the things that they do with artificial intelligence, especially with black folks, it would make you sick. Artificial intelligence couldn't even recognize black folks when it was first implemented. It was flagging, it still does, flagging black people like I'm gonna say that for another video. But artificial intelligence was basically flagging black people for crimes that we did not commit. Imagine that. That's some Minority Report type of stuff, which Minority Report is based on artificial intelligence. I'm gonna say that for another video because I'm already I'm an hour and 6 minutes in. I gotta record this other one. But yeah, with that being said, God bless each and every one of you in Jesus Christ's name. As always, stay focused for Jesus, and as you know, the truth is not debated, it is declared. Love y'all.